We're finally ready to glue the binding back on. The channels are cleaned out. We've got tortoiseshell binding here, and the tortoiseshell was not quite tall enough, so we laminated a strip of black to the bottom, and the tortoiseshell isn't quite as thick as the original, so we laminated a black strip to the inside of that binding. So this will be a little fancier than the guitar started out, and we're doing this with the owner's permission. He thought it would look nice. So with the extra 20 thousandths of an inch thickness, we've got plenty to make the new binding just a little bit proud of the original surfaces, and we'll be able to scrape that down. We're using something called Canopy Glue to glue this together. Most of the traditional or typical binding glues melt the lacquer finish, which is not really a good thing as far as Jeff and I are concerned. This glue is water-based, but it works really well for holding bindings. It cleans up easily, and it doesn't ruin the finish on the guitar. So we'll be able to just wipe off the excess as we go, and won't have to worry about refinishing the entire instrument. Seems like that tape is holding just fine, huh?
Yeah, we're using painter's tape this rather than the normal fiberglass tape that you see often used on bindings, because it's a little less tacky, and we're hoping that won't stress the finish on the guitar quite so much.
And we did test this glue too, kind of unscientifically maybe, but we glued a couple of strips of this binding material to a block of wood, and with one strip we used this Canopy glue, and with the other strip we used ducco cement, an acetone-based glue. And when we tried peeling them off, it seemed to take pretty much the same amount of effort with Canopy glue as it did with ducco cement. So we're confident that this is going to be pretty strong. Wait, grab me that paper towel.
Sure.
Might as well get rid of the excess now. I'm thinking just that much less to clean up later. Okay.
Okay.
This goes so much easier with four hands. There's the top rebound. We're going to leave the tape on probably till tomorrow, and then scrape the bindings down flush. For right now, we'll flip it over, do the back side, same way. I've taken all the tape off, and now I'm going to clean up most of the glue excess. It really wipes off very nicely, this Canopy glue. So before I start scraping the bindings level, I'll just try to get most of this extra crud off of the surfaces. I have a few different blades I'll use to try to scrape all this binding flush with the surface, but not, hopefully not damage the lacquer in any substantial way. I am anticipating spraying a thin line of lacquer just on top of the new bindings to sort of bring the film from the surfaces of the guitar over the binding also. Anyway, I've got utility knife blades, this scraper that's sold by a manufacturer or a supplier, and also something that I've used quite a lot lately is microscope slides. They actually do a great job scraping. So just pick a spot and start, and I'll switch from one scraper to another until I find the one that I think is giving me the best result. But I'm trying to use my thumb as a guide to keep the blade just at the very inside edge of the new binding, but not onto the finished surface. So this is going to be a really long process. I don't feel like it would do any good to mask off the finished surfaces because I can see the edge of where I need to stop scraping, and if I put tape down, it wouldn't really protect the finish in any way because I'd have to scrape all the way through the tape to achieve the flush fit that I'm looking for. So I just have to be really careful with how I do this and just try not to damage the original finish any more than I absolutely have to. Now this blade seems to work pretty well too. And again, I use my thumb as a guide to stay right where I want to be, and hopefully I won't do too much damage. Do you have anything you want to say about what you're doing?
Other than it's impossibly boring.
Yeah, I think that sums it up.
Not too much. Just, trying to, there's a little bit of an edge here right at the bottom where we put in the extra bit of
that black line
to raise up the binding.
Yep.
And so it's quite a little challenge to get that to scrape away without trashing out the finish. But these glass slides seem to work really well, and I've added a piece of tape to the slide which seems to stabilize it a little bit so it isn't so inclined to break.
Good thinking.
And if it does break, it keeps the shards from going all over creation. So
into your fingers.